Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 92 of the All Dolphins podcast. We're back to the numbering because it's an episode. It's not a live stream. So number 92, of course, Dolphins have a very good one right now in Zach Sealer. Could go with one of the longest tenured players in Dolphin history, that being John Denny, the long snapper. I'm going to go with a little further back in time, David Griggs, linebacker, late 80s, early 90s, who was a starter on the 1990 team, whose defense had a resurgence, played a big role in the Dolphins going 12-4, finished as a wild card, wound up losing to the Buffalo Bills in the first round of the playoffs. Griggs wound up going to the San Diego Chargers in 1994, played in the Super Bowl for them that year, and then sadly, tragically, died in a car accident on 595 in that offseason at the age of 28. But very, very, and above and beyond anything else, really, really cool dude. Solid player, and again, very, very sad, tragic ending.
Man, I was just about to fight for Zach Sealer for the honor of number 92. But damn, I didn't even know that about Griggs.
Yeah. No, they had a string of linebackers in particular. It's weird. Again, remember when I point out a number for player for each number, it's not necessarily the best player, because when I did the series, the best player to wear each number at 92, I actually had John Denny based on his longevity. I would make the argument that Zach Sealer has surpassed him because a defensive lineman is obviously more impactful than a long snapper. So
not that impactful yet. Not this season.
Not this season. No, he hasn't been quite as good. He hasn't been, I don't say been terrible. He's made a couple of plays here and there.
I think he's made a couple of plays. He's probably one of, everybody's made a couple of plays. It would be nice if they actually had a couple of plays together that looked like, put a string together right now. And I would argue this to my death. Andrew Van Ginkel's their best front seven player on the entire team.
So if we're going by production so far this season, yeah, I would agree with you.
And probably the most fit. Like when Andrew Van Ginkel is your best player, and this is no disrespect to Andrew Van Ginkel.
No, it doesn't sound like that's going to be disrespectful at all. Go ahead.
Listen, I have a high level of respect for Ginks. Okay. Mm-hmm. Should he be your best defensive player?
No.
Okay, because last I checked, he got the salary of a special teams guy. And he's
and a one-year contract as a free agent.
He has consistently been their best defensive player. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a problem. Is it not? Or is it just my imagination?
No, without question. And can you imagine had he gone ahead and taken one of the offers after he made the visits in the offseason with
become a Patriot? Yeah. Where would this defense be without Van Ginkel? Like, can you imagine that?
No, it's not been great. Not been great with him. But we'll circle back to that. Today's Monday, October 2nd, the day after the game. So today, obviously, we got an update on Tavon Armstead, which is not the
best case scenario. Woo! He's not going to be out a month. I mean, he's not going to be out.
He'll be out for the season. Yeah, he's not
out for the season.
But weeks, not days. Without McDaniel saying it, he said they're going to know more once like the situation settles down. I'm assuming that the swelling goes down. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't wind up on IR personally. But if it's IR for just 4 games, again, based on what we saw happen at Highmark Stadium on Sunday, I'd take it. No?
Yeah, no, yes. Like, I mean, we have to see where he is. And I hate like making this excuse for Tavon Armstead, but we knew what we got when we got him. You knew exactly what the deal was. And your other option was Lyle Collins, who was out of the league right now.
Yep.
So, and I can't sit here and tell you that Tavon Armstead isn't worth every cent that you're paying him, because when he's out there and he's good, he's elite. He's a difference maker. He makes your offensive line look completely different than what it is and what it's capable of right now. And I have a high level of respect for Kendall Lamb, and he'll probably look at this as disrespect. But he's not Tavon Armstead. He's not.
You are. At left tackle, few are. He's top 5.
Yeah. No question about it. So let's hope that he has a speedy recovery. Let's hope that he doesn't need a knee clean out. I'm very happy and thankful that it wasn't the right knee, because that would have been problematic, especially since that's the knee that had the procedure and the operation and the scope out already. Every time you cut knees into knees, they get worse. So thankful that it wasn't that knee. Let's hope, and I don't know if this is the case or not, that this other one doesn't need to be arthroscopically looked at and addressed. Let's hope.
I'm going to tell you something here. Tell me if you agree. And this is something I never would have said last year, but evidence keeps coming in. So we're allowed to change our opinion based on incoming evidence. Last year, had you told me that Tavon Armstead was the most irreplaceable player on the offensive line, to me was a slam dunk. This year, again, as a testament to how good Kendall Lamb has been and the gap at another position, I'm not so sure it's not Connor Williams. Again, because of the gap. And I'm not going to put everything that went wrong on the offense.
Yes, how many times have I told you Connor Williams was
but the best? The issue isn't so much, it isn't. It's partly Connor Williams' quality of play, and then the fact that Liam Eichenberg and Mike McDaniel spoke like very nicely of him today in his day after the game. He kind of like gave him some compliments, said there were some issues, but gave him some compliments. But it wasn't great.
It was bad. Don't lie. It was bad. And I like and I respect Liam Eichenberg. I actually thought he was better than he is. I rewatched that game and came to the conclusion that Liam Eichenberg isn't an NFL starter under any circumstances. I used to think that he was. And I get it, Daquan Jones is good. There was so much leakage. I mean, leaking everywhere. And from Liam. And I'm not even going to bring up the penalty that cost the team a touchdown, because everybody can make that mistake. They play an RPO offense, and you half the time these offensive linemen don't know if it's a run or a pass, but they do know the rules. And he had a brain fart moment and lost the rules.
Correct.
But I'm telling you right now, the play that got Tavon Armstead hurt, Liam Eichenberg. And I hate to do that, but I'm sorry. You just got owned and dominated on that play.
Except, let's be fair about this, that Armstead also got pushed back by AJ Finesse on that play.
It was
Stonewalls.
That was a little dirty.
By who? There was a shove by Epinesa toward the end of the play that, to
after
me,
the play was over,
a tad unnecessary.
Yeah, after the play was over, and I get it. You're tussling with these guys for 30 to 40 snaps, and but come on, bro. That was after the play. Wasn't involved in the play. The ball was gone. You saw that the ball was gone. I felt like it was just a tad dirty.
But I think to me, it wasn't so much. I saw it as a machismo move of like, I'm going to shove you to show you that I got you. That's what it was.
Down.
Correct. And then, unfortunately, the other guy's falling into the back of his knee at the same time. But yeah, but you're right. I mean, that injury doesn't. By the way, I want to clarify something, because I made a mistake yesterday, and since has been pointed out to me, I'm going to correct your mistakes. I'm going to correct my own mistakes when I made it. Daquan Jones was not the free agent I was thinking of from Denver in the offseason. That was Draymond Jones. Daquan Jones, a guy who's been in the league for quite a while. Anyway, I wanted to correct that. But yeah, I can agree to that. I'll tell you, upon rewatching the game, and I know you did the same thing, on the offensive line, my initial view is that Austin Jackson didn't have a great game. I didn't have an issue with his performance in the least. The three interior guys, like Isaiah Wynn, whiffed on a block on Ed Oliver, like bad one time, and Robert Hunt got beaten on a sack, also had a holding penalty. So the interior was not good.
I think it's a collection. It was everybody. I'm not giving Austin Jackson a pass, because there was plenty of leakage coming from his edge as well. The biggest issue to me, and this is something that I put in a tweet and I stand on it, you will not beat the Buffalo Bills if you're consistently going to be allowing pressure with 4 rushers. The Bills don't have to blitz.
All right.
They don't have to blitz. They drop 7, rush 4. Press Waddle and Tyreek and safety over the top and not compromise anything, rushing 4 and get pressure on Tua. You will never beat the Buffalo Bills as long as they can beat you just rushing 4. And they didn't just they got to Tua quick 5-on-4, 6-on-4. And my question to myself is, would Connor Williams and Tavon Armstead make that much of a difference with preventing the Bills to get pressure for? Now, I get it. The Bills come in waves. They got 2 units. So they're running them in and out, just like you do with wide receiver, where you tire people out and then you put Tariq out there and let Tariq do what he does, because the wide receivers rotate in and out for the Dolphins. The Bills, they rotate in and out, and they got 8. They're 8 deep. Tell me how many defensive linemen the Dolphins have.
Not 8.
They might have 3, maybe 4.
Pure defensive linemen?
Just defensive line. Just people going after the quarterback.
Well, do you count Chubb and Phillips in that? But because they're kind of edge defenders.
I do.
Okay, well then you have, again, Christian Wilkins, that kind of guy. Okay, that's 3. Zach Sealer's 4. Van Ginkel's 5. But it's a different scheme, and the Bills will line up 4 across, and they're all 4 coming, and they're kind of like you mentioned, it's one wave after the other.
You're supposed to have all 4 coming, aren't you?
No. And you make a very good point there. And you know what it reminds me of? If you remember those 2 Super Bowls where the New York Giants beat the Patriots, especially the 2007 season when New England was 16-0 in the regular season, nobody could stop that offense. What stopped them is the Giants being able to pressure Brady with 4 guys up front, and that was it.
And get pressure up the gut.
And if you're able to do that, that allows you to do so much on the back end, and that's what you saw Buffalo do. Speaking of Connor Williams, McDaniel addressed the situation, and Jalen Phillips' situation kind of suggested that maybe they could have played, in a pinch yesterday, but they wanted to quote unquote, protect them from themselves, hoping to see them at practice on Wednesday, that they respond well to practice. I didn't catch this last night, but apparently Drew Rosenhaus was on Sports Extra and said maybe this week for Connor, if not the following week. So sounds like it's an iffy situation. You expressed doubt yesterday about Phillips being able to come back this week. Guess we'll have to see.
I don't know. I don't know the status on Jalen Phillips. I just know that this organization is extra cautious when it comes to injury. Like, look at the Deshaun Elliott, and that's another situation where I didn't think Brandon Jones had a particularly good game, and certainly was a drop off in coverage talent. And I'm not blaming it all on Cater, even though everybody wants to blame it on Cater. Cater was, as I said, a Noche Bueno pig, and got roasted and laid for the slaughter. I'm dying for Thursday's press conference with defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, and I know what to expect. I just don't necessarily. My hope is that an old guy can learn new tricks, because you have to be able to. And I never liked the fact that he says, "Yeah, I didn't watch last year's games, it wasn't relevant." And I'm like, if you had watched last year's games, you would have been able to see that X shadows Stefan, and Cater does go to the opposite side, and it can work for you. And there are things that you can learn from last year's team that you can incorporate into this year's team that you're not doing. And it should not be my way or the highway. This is what I do. This is what I've always done. This is how it's going to be. when it doesn't necessarily fit your skill sets of your team, or it clearly isn't what they're comfortable with. There has to be, if we want to say to an offensive coach, particularly, do what caters to your talent skill sets. Formulate your offense around the talent that you have. Why shouldn't we do the same thing for defensive coordinators? Just because of their reputation? Well, right now, your reputation says you have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. Is that? I guess that's the player's fault now, right?
No, correct. Or it's the old. There's a learning curve.
No, he said no learning curve. Week one, he said
No,
no
no,
learning
no, no.
curve.
I know, but I'm saying that there's other people who are throwing that out as an excuse. My thing is, again, I go back to his comments of last week. To your question, well, to my question is, we're not in a position to do it now, and again, my jaw dropped. I was like, why not? And answer to your question is basically because you have to have everybody comfortable with switching sides. Well, X has shadowed before, so I don't think X is the issue here as far as moving sides.
He's not the problem. He shadowed for 4 years. He's
Well,
not the problem there.
So what, Cater can't play left cornerback? He has to play right cornerback only? Is that the deal? Then
And if that's the case, how about you put somebody else in there that can play?
Then keep him in the slot and then put somebody else. I mean, that was not good. I haven't checked. I was going to look today, like the last time Vic Fangio defense gave up 48 points. I do know that Josh Allen lit him up the last time he had faced him when he was head coach with the Broncos. He had lit him up. It was like 38-7 or something along those lines.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then again, it's not like the Dolphins have this great formula, because you mentioned earlier, I mean, the one time they beaten them, one of them was like his first season at the end of the game when the Charles Clay couldn't come up with another thrown pass. And then the game at Hard Rock Stadium last year when the Bills had 497 yards. And it was basically that the Bills just left points on the field the entire game. It's not like they have not contained Josh Allen.
He's your daddy.
Yeah.
He has not proven he's your daddy. I caught a moment in rewatching the television copy of it where Stephon Diggs and him, they're talking, they're shaking hands, they're like,
they're
hey,
friends,
buddy,
yeah.
like we've made up now. I don't know what's at the root of whatever everybody says is their speculation, but I always know that, deep receivers, they've always got issues with quarterbacks when they don't get their way. It is what it's
Yeah.
part of what it is. You can relate to that, I'm sure. But at the end of it, he goes to like a defensive player and he's like
I didn't say that.
Oh no, I put it up on Twitter and it's like, he's spanking the Dolphins. And it's true. They spanked him like they were his daddy. Like and I mean, what more can you say about they're not 28 points worse than the Buffalo.
No. And again, the Dolphins, as I've said many, many times, offensively, it's like a machine that's got a lot of parts in it. And Buffalo did a very good job of disrupting a lot of different things. Because I noticed something else on the play where Armstead got hurt. It was a 3rd and 2. It was 21-14, and it was right before the Diggs long touchdown. It was a 3rd and 2. And if you watch the play very quickly, it's a Tua quick throw on short slant to Raheem Mostert, and he threw it behind him. Well, you watch the replay, and there's a defensive lineman, I want to say maybe at Oliver, who's got his big paw up in the air and forced Tua to throw it to the side, otherwise it's going to get batted down. And that's part of the disruption that Buffalo.
I saw that too. A lot of their passing plays, they were into his passing lane. Their defensive lineman would drop back and get into Tua's window and and it was a brilliant plan. It was. I watched that game and I thought to myself, you thoroughly got outcoached. It wasn't even like it's not even a factor. Like there's nothing in that game that you won in any area. I think special teams might have did okay. Probably the best performance they've had on special teams
how
all
often do we
season.
say that, right?
Yeah. Clap it up for special teams for their first win. It was a stalemate, but hey, for them, that's a win. The Bills game plan, everybody, and that's the thing about football, and what I love about this sport is the Giants and Brian Daboll is going to see that. He already knows Tua, so he knows Tua's strengths, his weakness, how he plays. The fact that Tua's passing lanes guy, he's got some dogs at defensive line on the defensive line that are going to make this a very interesting game, especially if you think Eichenberg is going to be in there at center. And they're going to replicate what Buffalo did. Everybody's going to build on that and see if they now. Not everybody has the defensive line to do it, because I think it starts with the defensive line. 4 beat 6 regularly. 4 beat 6, not 4 beat 5. 4 beat 6. You can't take a loss to, like, you got 5 guys blocking 4 people. You should not be giving up. The quarterback shouldn't be under constant pressure.
No, and I'm trying to remember. I know Leonard Williams is a hell of a player. Dexter Lawrence, who is Christian Wilkins' former teammate at Clemson, who got a bag in the offseason. Christian was like, "Oh, I'm very happy for my guy." And probably inside he was thinking, "Yep, that's going to be me very soon." Not happened yet. Although, looking back at the game, he was okay. He wasn't. Again, we're still not getting 2022 Christian Wilkins, but he was okay. To me, the guys I identified, like, I hate to break it. He'd only played like 80 snaps, but I was astounded at how easily Emmanuel Ogbah gets blocked, whether he's got his hand on the ground or he's standing up. I mean, it's frightening. And I like to do it. And I think I had made that point earlier to you, that the big success that he had in terms of the sacks in 2020 and 2021, that was Brian Flores' scheme. Say, "Thank you very much. You made me a lot of money." And then Javon Holland, who Brian Baldinger last week was ready to call him the best safety in the NFL. Dude had a rough game. Agree, disagree?
I need to see a bigger sample size for Javon Holland. I think those tight ends, they did well. And I'm not going to put it all on him, because the linebackers didn't play well either, and they're supposed to be coverage guys. Jerome Bay, if I'm going to single out people who did not perform well, I'm not sure Javon Holland would be in my top 10. And I generally do keep a list.
He is near the top. I mean, he had a couple of, and I'm not even talking about just
really near the top on this game. In this one game.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about just getting bowled over by Dawson Knox on a short completion off the blitz. I'm talking about the long completion to James Cook near the sideline, where he allowed him to cut inside, because instead of tackling him, he just basically took a swipe at the ball. Did he make one play in coverage? I mean, again, this is supposed to be an impact player, and I understand you have to have the opportunities to make plays, but still, no.
I mean, the scheme is built around you, so clearly you're going to have the opportunities to make plays. But yeah, it ain't for me, dog. This whole scheme, not for me. But I've said that since week 1.
I know.
I watched it in practice, and the fact that everything looked the same, and then it evolved and changed. I wonder now, looking at it, I'm like, what was I looking at? Because I don't see that same defense in terms of who's dropping, who's coming. I don't see that. And it's not hitting home.
No, and I saw too many plays early on, guys getting pushed off the line of scrimmage, like very early in the game, like Sealer and Wilkins.
Oh, yeah, very early to the very end, when you know that Buffalo's running and they're burrowing you off the ball 6 yards. Like, can you not anchor? Can you not anchor against the run? Like, or are the Bills that good on the offensive line that now they own the line of scrimmage? I haven't seen anything. Like, the one thing that I will say about last year's Dolphins they were good against the run. That was the only thing that you could say. Do you see that team so far this year?
No. My recollection of the Dolphins last year in the run defense, the only guys who were giving them problems were scrambling quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson gave him hell. Justin Fields gave him hell. I may be forgetting somebody, but that usually was the problem. Other than that, no, they were very, very good against the run. Let's go back to injuries. Dolphins have players eligible to come off either IR or PUP this week. Jalen Ramsey, we know it's not happening. Mike McDaniel was not asked about this today. We'll see at practice on Wednesday. That'll be the telltale sign. I believe Drew said that Jeff Wilson Jr. is good and ready to go. Whether the Dolphins take him off IR, that's a different
story.
A different
And
story.
there, you have been one of the individuals who've brought up the 3rd and short, 4th and short play selection. The fact that they can't run on 3rd and short and convert that. I have to think that that's what Jeff Wilson can do. Let's hope that they decide that he's healthy enough to play, because, Chris Brooks, they don't trust him to do it. Otherwise he would do it. I'm in agreement with you. Quarterback sneak with the world's most fragile quarterback, not a good idea. So
no tush push here.
Huh?
No tush push here.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, I'm at the point. Damn, do the Wildcat with Tyreek as a trigger man. Like, what you got to lose? What are they now at 3rd and 2 or worse?
Oh, I put out a tweet today. The 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. What was it? 2 for 6 on 3rd and 1, and 1 for 3 on 4th and 1. That's not good. That's not good.
Yeah, no. I'm not at the point where I can say and agree with you that they're a finesse team. I've seen a lot of finesse Dolphins teams. This is not a finesse Dolphins team, but they can't convert that. And what's that face for? I mean, I understand if they can't convert that, then they are a finesse team in your mind. However, why don't you just run an outside zone play? Why don't you run a toss play to Tavon? Like, that's not what they try to do. They're trying to be in shotgun and throw it.
Oh, I agree. But no, I was sorry if I was making a face. But to me, it's like, okay, Tennessee's a power team. Philly's a power team. Frisco's a power team.
I didn't say they're a power team, but you call them a finesse team. When you say finesse,
they're more finesse than power.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Buffalo is now a power team.
As I made the point to somebody else who was having a back and forth with in the comments section.
I was like, you cheating on me? What's going on over here? You okay? I am going to cheat on you soon, though. But yes, yeah.
You always be talking about. You always cheat on me. Man, are you kidding me? I should have having you give me your roster when we started collaborating.
What you know about rosters?
I saw one of your tweets. That's the only thing I know about that.
Gotta keep your roster, gentlemen. Gotta keep your roster. Don't let it go.
Dude, I've been married for 18 years. What's a roster?
Yeah, you don't have a roster.
A list of football players with numbers. But again, to me, it's not. It doesn't have to be. It's not. No team is just all finesse or all power. You mix in. It's just like no team is always 3 down linemen or always 4 down linemen. Everything is mixed up. But the Dolphins, to me, are more, and because of their speed, the way they're built on offense, they're more finesse than they are power. That's all.
I am at the point now where I'm sitting there and I'm looking at them and I'm wondering why you don't use 3 defensive tackles down more in your base package. Why is that not your base package? Why do you not have a 3-4 front? Why do you not look like a 3-4 team? Right now, you just look like 2 down linemen, 4 linebackers,
5
and
2-4-5. 2-4-5. Yep, they do that.
Yeah. But
they do the 3 down linemen at times with Raekwon, Sealer, and Wilkins.
Goal line.
They've done it at times and maybe it's an issue. They just don't have the bodies to do it, and they don't want to overtax Raekwon Davis, which speaks to then go ahead and go out and get somebody.
Overtax Raekwon. Have you seen Raekwon lately? He's the incredible shrinking man. He looks like a basketball player at this point, which I'm not necessarily certain benefits him in terms of a run stuffer. Like
have we noticed him at all this year?
He's redefined his body to play in this scheme better. And I'm starting to think to myself, I think you were better at like 340.
But that's my question to you. Have you noticed him even once this year?
Okay. Yeah, once.
Once in 4 games.
maybe Chargers game. I think it was a Chargers game. Yeah.
4 games. That's not a whole lot of
I
impact.
mean, you act like I'm sitting up here noticing Christian Wilkins much or Bradley Chubb, and that's one.
Bradley Chubb's a different. Yeah.
I'm a very, despite what people think about me, I'm a very patient man. And oh, you gonna laugh out loud?
Like, sorry, no. I mean, yes, very patient. Sorry.
I am. Like, after week 1, did I go up and harass Bradley Chubb? No, I didn't. Did I say anything after he disappeared against Denver? No, I didn't. Like, you showed up for 1 of 4 games. And he had a lot of pressures against Buffalo. He didn't close, but he had a lot.
When, yesterday?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he got a lot. There were a lot of shoestring tackles, a lot of Josh Allen escape. He got a significant amount of pressures. I would say, and I'm guessing he probably got at least 4 pressures or 4 flush outs. But you got to hit home on some of those plays. And
I recall 1, but
no, there were more. It's a lot of stuff that I watch, because I was watching the D line. I watched the second review of the game, D line exclusively, and it just, there's nothing there. There's nothing there.
No, and the thing that's troubling about, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the thing that's troubling about Chubb is, if you remember, it wasn't very impactful here last year after he came over from the trade, and he was battling minor injuries. He was in the midseason trade. I know you made that comment about not knowing like anybody in the building or when I get to the
how to get home.
Yeah, but on Sunday, you know the way to the quarterback. I mean, that's
but you don't know the defense. It's a new defense. I'm not making excuses for him, but I understand where he's coming from. I'm not making excuses for him. The man was playing out there with a club. What you want from him?
Okay, no, but here my point is that last year they were building excuses for why he wasn't very impactful. This year, what's the problem?
I think it's early. I think that for, as I've always been instructed, for pass rushers, sacks come in bunches, and it's not like he's getting bowled over, dominated, not getting pressures. He's just not hitting home. And I think this next 2-game stretch is paramount for me, because he's got to show up and he's got to deliver in these next 2 games. Otherwise, yeah.
No, I was going to say that. Well, here's the thing. Excuse me. When they play the Giants next Sunday, if he's going up against Andrew Thomas, who by all accounts has emerged or has developed into like a very, very good left tackle after starting off his career as the 4th overall pick, not particularly well. He needs to win those matchups. He cannot be eliminated from the game like he was against Rashawn Slater in week 1. That can't happen. The Dolphins are paying way too much money for that to happen.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing. And I'm at the point where Andrew Van Ginkel, and I've said this, is the number 1 pass rusher. You pick whichever side you want, Andrew, and everybody else just needs to figure out what they do, because you're the man. I mean, that's where I'm at personally. I'm at the point where Chris Greer needs to be calling Andrew Van Ginkel to his office and figuring out how much do we need to get you locked up for multiple years, because he's the best pass rusher on the team, which is a problem. Great for Andrew Van Ginkel. And I love the fact that, listen, brother, go get your money. And they didn't want to take care of you last offseason. Well, somebody gonna take care of you this offseason.
Oh, he's making himself some money. By the way, Bradley Chubb was credited for 1 quarterback hit against the Bills. The Dolphins were credited for only 3 as a team. The other 2 were Van Ginkel on his 2 sacks. And then on the flip side, the Bills were credited with 9 quarterback hits. 9-3. That's
almost
9. Yeah, just 9.
Just 9.
Just 9 quarterback hits. Not the same thing as pressure. The pressures will come when the analytics of the game, I'm sure they're already out on Pro Football Focus, to which I don't subscribe, so I haven't seen those. I will get my hands on some analytics either tomorrow or Wednesday and then look at it. Again, you felt Chubb a lot more than I did. But the bottom line, and as you mentioned, they face the Giants in Carolina the next 2 weeks.
These aren't layups, man. And this is where your season can go off the rails because you take a loss to an inferior team. And I'm sure odds makers have made Carolina and the Giants inferior teams to Miami, especially without Saquon Barkley. And we've seen Saquon try to play the Dolphins, not 100%. I'm pretty sure he's going to do it again and look pretty average to mediocre. But you need to. This is one of those situations where you need to wipe the slate clean and right the ship. And to me, righting the ship, address that secondary, fix it. What you can't, and you got to start to re-inject Cater with confidence because that young man, he deserved better than what he got last Sunday.
Yeah, I'm not that concerned with Cater because Cater is a confident guy, and there was only one game, and he was going up against like an elite wide receiver without question. I'm not that concerned about him. I might be more concerned about the run defense, if I'm going to be honest with you. And then overall,
the numbers aren't that bad, but the film is a lot worse than the numbers.
No, yeah, I agree with you. That's gonna wrap it up. Tomorrow is our always popular behind enemy lines. The Giants play tonight, so we're gonna have we
should have a watch party.
There you go. What time should I be over, Omar?
I'm in on Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be watching that game, and thank God it's going to be tonight. But subscribe, share, tell a friend. You can find all our work on alldolphins.com for free, and we will see you tomorrow.
Absolutely, and audio podcast on the Fans First Sports Network under Miami Dolphins Insider. Omar, let's talk tomorrow.